In this video, we're going to review and compare the Fifine 669D dynamic microphone against the Mayano PD100 dynamic microphone. Both of these microphones are quite inexpensive, they're easily available on Amazon, and they're designed for podcasting, streaming, and vocal recording. In this video, that's exactly how we're going to compare them. We're going to compare them in the context of podcasting, streaming, and vocal recording. In terms of setup for this video, both of these microphones are set up on the Rode PSA 1 Plus boom arm. There's XLR coming out of the back of each microphone. They're going into the Rodecaster Duo. I think the Rodecaster Duo is the best audio mixer right now for podcasting, live streaming, and vocal recording, so that's why I'm using it in this video. On the Rodecaster Duo, the 669D has about 49 dB of gain, and the Mayano PD100 has 52 dB of gain. If you are watching this video and you want the best experience possible, we highly recommend that you use a set of high quality headphones that will really give you the opportunity to hear the finite details between either one of these microphones to help you make a better decision. In terms of price for both of these microphones, the price does go up and down over time and depending on what region you're in, so we do have links down in the description below that will help you find the best price possible. Next, let's take a look at the overall first impressions and build quality. Both of these microphones I think look great on camera. They're smaller microphones, they're not huge, so they don't take a lot of on-camera screen space, and their black design makes it suitable for a studio application. They're both end address microphones. They look like they belong in a studio, which is important to people if you are filming a video podcast or you're live streaming. Now, in terms of overall build quality, the Fifine has two materials here. The end is a heavier metal material, and the back half of the microphone is a more plasticky type material. I still think the build quality is good. I don't have any concerns here. They just use two different materials on this microphone. On the Mayano PD100, it's all metal. It's a lighter gauge metal here, but it does feel very solid. I still think this microphone will last you a really long time. In terms of mounting for these microphones, the Fifine 669D has a screw-on plastic mount that you screw onto the back of the microphone. As you work your way towards the microphone stand, there is a tension screw that allows you to set the angle for this microphone. And the very end, the mount of this microphone is inside a plastic housing, but it is double tapped, so both thread sizes are in there, and you don't need any type of thread adapter if you're using a microphone boom arm or a microphone stand. On the Mayano PD100 for the mounting, it uses a metal half yoke design. It's not a full U-shaped yoke mount, but it still works well. Gives you a lot of flexible mounting options. The tension screw I would say is higher quality than the Fifine 669D, as well as the overall yoke design I think looks better, functions better, it's easier to get the microphone where you want it. Towards the end of the microphone here, it's double tapped as well, so you don't need any type of third-party microphone stand adapter or anything like that. It will fit your microphone boom arms and your microphone stands just perfectly. In terms of XLR mounting for both of these microphones, you can see that the XLR cable does just come straight out of the back of it, and then you can deal with that cable however you want when you're using your microphone boom arm or microphone stand. Next, let's take a look at the specs of either one of these microphones before we get into more detail. For the Fifine 669D, it's an XLR dynamic microphone with a cardioid polar pattern. It's an end address microphone with a frequency response between 50 Hz and 15 kHz. It has a sensitivity of minus 50 dB plus or minus 3 dB. It has a max SPL of 120 dB. It weighs 412 grams or about 0.9 pounds. For the Mayano PD100, it's also an XLR dynamic microphone with a cardioid polar pattern. It's an end address microphone as well. For the frequency response, it goes between 20 Hz and 20 kHz, but we'll talk about that more in a minute. The sensitivity is minus 53 dB plus or minus 3 dB. It has a max SPL of 132 dB, and it weighs 322 grams or about 0.7 pounds. Now, in terms of frequency response, the Fifine 669D does not publish a frequency response chart, so let's just take a quick look at the Mayano PD100. Again, we have nothing to compare this to in this video because the Fifine doesn't publish, but for the Mayano PD100 here, you can get a sense of how this microphone kind of works. There's a high pass filter here that rolls on to about 100 Hz. There's a slight bump around 150 Hz or so, a low mid cut giving this microphone just a bit more clarity. As it moves up through like the presence region here, at 3K it starts to come up. It's a bit sculpted up here, flat lines around 6 or 7K, and then it does drop off shortly after 10,000 Hertz. So far throughout this video, I've had pretty good microphone positioning for either one of these microphones. You should not have heard any plosives or anything like that, but let's give this a go with the worst case scenario here. Peter put peanut butter on his pineapple pizza. 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 This is what the 669D sounds like when you have a keyboard and mouse going in the background, testing its overall background noise rejection. This is what the Mayano PD100 sounds like when you have a keyboard and mouse going in the background, testing its overall noise rejection. If you are shuffling at your table or desk or anything, here's what it sounds like on the Fifine 669D with some rustling paper in the background. If you are shuffling paper or anything on your desk while you're recording with the Mayano PD100, this is what it sounds like if you have shuffling paper in the background. This is what the Fifine 669D sounds like if you're moving it on a microphone stand throughout your podcast, live stream, or recording. This is what the Mayano PD100 sounds like if you're moving it on your microphone stand throughout your podcast, live stream, or recording. This is what it sounds like when you tap the Fifine 669D or the microphone that it's mounted on. This is what it sounds like when you tap the Mayano PD100 or the microphone stand that it's mounted on. So far throughout this video, you've been not listening to any type of processing on these microphones at all. Right now, you're listening to the Fifine 669D with processing turned on the Rodecaster Duo. This gives you EQ, a big bottom, a compressor, de-esser, and a couple little things to give you a sample of how the Fifine 669D could sound. Likewise, now you're listening to the Mayano PD100. Again, we're using the default processing setting for a dynamic microphone on the Rodecaster Duo. So you're getting a big bottom, some EQ, some compression, some de-essing, and a couple other little tools in here to help you discover how this microphone would sound like if you have processing turned on. Now that we have processing turned off again, we're going to do a blind test with both of these microphones. No, it's not the computers. The computers were fine, and the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is indeed 42. The problem is that nobody knew what the question was. No, it's not the computers. The computers were fine, and the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is indeed 42. The problem is that nobody knew what the question was. All right, I just finished editing everything from all of our testing, so let's go through some of my thoughts on what we've done so far. First of all, in terms of overall price and value, you cannot go wrong with either one of these options. For the amount of money that these microphones cost, we do have links down in the description below. They are an insane value. You can get a really good, high quality recording for less than $100 easily. And for that, based on that alone, I do recommend both of these options if you are looking for a beginner microphone. Next, let's take a look at some of my red flags and the things I look at when I compare microphones. First of all, in terms of overall build quality here, both of them are easily within an acceptable range. The Fifine 669D does have a plastic mounting system, and the Mayano's is all metal, but I think they're both within an acceptable window and they'll both last you a long period of time. Next, in terms of plosives, again, I think both of them were good. You can always use some sort of foam windscreen if this is a problem for you, but I do think the Fifine did a little bit better here. Next, in terms of handling noise and background noise rejection, I think the Mayano is better than the Fifine 669D. So while the 669D is better at rejecting plosives, you can use a windscreen or something like that if it's a problem with you. But the handling noise is much less on the Mayano PD100, and in all our background noise tests with the keyboard and the paper, for my headphones and my hearing, I found that the Mayano PD100 did better here. Next, let's talk about some of the subjective factors related to how these microphones actually sound. For my money, both of them sound really good, but the Fifine does have a stronger low end. If you want that stronger bass presence, then the Fifine 669D is the microphone for you. To me, the Mayano PD100 sounded just a little bit more clear and open. It didn't have any total blind spots. I thought it sounded really good as a podcasting or live streaming microphone. A lot of people like this tone, and it sounds just a little bit more clear and open to me than the Fifine 669D. So it really does depend what you want. If you want that full low-end bass presence out of the box, then go with the Fifine 669D. If you want it sounding a little bit more natural, the Mayano PD100 might be better for you. When it came to post-processing, I thought that the default setting on the Rodecaster Duo sounded great on both microphones. I think there's a lot to work with here. I think you can make both microphones sound good if you want. So what is my actual recommendation? I want to know what you guys think as well. So do leave a comment down in the comment section with your favorite microphone out of these two. But for me, if I had to pick one of these microphones, I would go with the Mayano PD100. To me, it sounds a little bit more clear and a little bit more natural, but it's not so sculpted that it sounds empty or anything like that. And it has less handling noise and more background noise rejection compared to the Fifine 669D. Some of these differences are more subtle and you really only notice them if you're wearing headphones. I think the average listener to your podcast or live stream may not even notice the difference between these microphones. But if you want just a little bit more low-end presence, the Fifine 669D has that out of the box, but the Mayano PD100 is the microphone that I would choose. Again, I want to hear from you and your thoughts on comparing these. If you think I'm right or wrong, I'd love to hear your comment down below. Again, if you are looking for pricing or specs for anything you see in this video, we have links down in the description below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.